Hello? 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 How are you feeling? Don't try to use your vocal cords. After a prolonged amount of time in cryostasis, it's typical that you won't be able to regain the use of your vocal cords for about 30 minutes or so. So, in the meantime, I'm going to orientate you with exactly what's gone on and exactly how you got into this situation. Now, I need you to relax, stay calm, and listen to what I'm about to tell you. It is now the year 6180. First of all, what I want to say is that for you, it's actually 2180. Since you were frozen, we've changed the way that we record time. And so it's added a couple of thousand years or so. But there's nothing to worry about. Now, it's my job as your meet and greet to set you up for this brave new world. That'll include giving you technology that you previously won't have had access to before, and letting you know about some of the things that may have changed while you've been asleep. Okay? First things first, I need to take a syringe and inject you with some horseshoe crab blood. Now don't worry about it. This horseshoe crab blood basically detects endotoxins and gives us any contraindications we need to be aware of with regards to your resuscitation. Okay? This won't hurt a bit. Just 2 shots. 1. One more. 2. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is install what we call a cranioplan delta. It's one of the most basic package for all ice blocks. Ice blocks is what we call people who've recently been resuscitated from cryostasis. This cranioplan will allow you to basically have a heads-up display and give you an indication of what's going on around you. It only takes a second to install, and again, it's just a simple injection. You ready? Okay. Now what you should start to see are some lights, little indications appearing all over your eyes. Don't worry, you can switch this off at any time, but it should start to give you an indication of the kind of technology that we have access to here in your new home. What it's also probably telling you is that I'm not a human. Now, I didn't want to break this to you straight away, as it can be a little arresting for people as soon as they've woken up. But I'm actually a robot. I was designed by a scientist a long, long time ago, and everyone calls me Jimmy or Chibot. Yeah, I'm pretty realistic. I sweat, I cry, I even feel and listen to music. But I am a robot, and I'm here to facilitate your awakening into this brave new world. Now hopefully your HUD has settled in and you're beginning to see not only your vital statistics, but assessments of everything around you, giving you a better idea of what's about, what it's comprised of, and how you relate to it. That's a great piece of kit that will help you greatly as you adjust to your new life in this new world. What I will say is that you can upgrade this hardware and firmware so that you can have better insight into your surroundings. This is something you can look at later on. Bear with me for a second. Okay, brilliant. First of all, we just need to check that your HUD is operating at full capacity. So what I'd like you to do is just stare at this light. How's that? And again. Your HUD should automatically correct the exposure and the aperture of your pupil. That means that you can manually control the amount of light that your eyes allow in. This also means that you can adjust the way that things appear to you visually. So if you want to have a little go, you can change the saturation, and you can also change the different levels. So you can make me look blue or pink or whatever you want, really. It's quite fun, huh? Now you play around with that just while I keep taking a look at your HUD, just to make sure that everything's working A-OK. Just do me a favour, look at my finger and follow it. Don't move your head. Now follow it around. Good. Yes, a lot's changed since you were around, but don't worry, it's still all very familiar. I'm sure you'll find yourself feeling at home in no time. Okay? Just keep looking at my finger and follow it as I move it around. Don't move your head. That's it. Perfect. You're doing very well. Not everyone recovers this quickly from being in cryostasis for quite as long as you have. I'm impressed. Okay. So, just going to ask you a few questions about your past. Who was the President of the United States of America? That's correct. Who was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? That's correct. Who was the leader of Japan? I'm sorry, that's wrong, but never mind. It's okay. You can't know everything from your history. Back in your time, how much of the world was comprised of ocean, roughly? Okay. And finally, how many days were there in a week? Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's been happening. I'm just bringing up your dossier. Oh, I see here that you are from the early 2000s. What an interesting time to be alive. A lot of crazy things happened back then. Well, some of the things I need you to be aware of is that one of the first things people ask is about money. And actually, we don't use that anymore. Money was phased out in the late 2000s in favor of a resource-based economy. So what that means is that basically it's from each person according to their ability to each person according to their need. And that means that there's no need for money, because basically we have a system whereby people support one another. Similarly, we don't actually have a world government, which is what some people think is going to happen. We have small communities who work together in tandem. Now the idea is that actually all of these different communities combine into one big homogeneous planet. Each community is unique, so we maintain culture, and you can travel from community to community completely at your own free will. You'll find a variety of different things to do in each community, and they're pretty exciting, I must say, to visit. Okay, one of the most important things that you will notice in your new world is that communication has changed quite considerably. People no longer talk with languages. It's kind of difficult to explain, but one of the reasons that they use robots to help people wake up is because we are still programmed to be able to speak in old languages. Nowadays, people either communicate on a sub-telepathic level, and that's using the HUD implant that we've already given you, or they use utterances, nuanced utterances like. So we can communicate a lot more now by going. Than we ever could with clumsy words. One of the things you will notice as well is that people do get up closer to one another. Personal space is no longer so much of an issue as it was back in your day. This is used as a sort of tribal ritual. It's a way of people getting to know one another and expressing their interest. Part of the nuance of the new way that we communicate is through distance, through proximity. The closer you are to someone and the closer you talk to them, the more private you want the conversation to be, and that way, the more personal you want it to be. This will become very clear as you get to grips with your new heads-up display. There are a lot of intricacies to it that you will only pick up through practice. So once you're 100%, we'll get you out there meeting people and talking to them as quickly as possible. Okay? Okay, I can see here. Interesting. What an interesting life you led before all this. One thing I should mention is that, and I don't want to play the blame game, but because of a generation near yours, you basically irreparably damaged the planet. So there will be a bit of getting used to how things are now. You'll need to acclimate to quite inhospitable weather at points. However, we have built domes and other abodes that can protect you from these harsh conditions. But the general homeostasis alignment that you'll have to go through after this session with me can be quite painful, but it just makes sure that you're prepared for how the atmosphere has completely been altered by mistakes of people in the past. It sounds a bit doomy and gloomy, but it's not too bad out there, trust me. Good. Oh, another thing that people ask about a lot is space travel. Believe it or not, we still haven't done it. Yeah. It's disappointing, but we've only really ever got far as any of you guys did. Following the world falling into a period of disrepair, shall we say, focus was moved from space travel and exploration to basically sustaining the Earth's atmosphere and keeping people alive. So we're a little behind on making Star Trek a reality. I know you people watch that. But we're always working to make sure that we can do in the future. Right, yes, so one of the things that we'll be giving you before you leave today will be an iBot, and this is a digital display that appears in your HUD and helps you to navigate some of the more complex cultural aspects that you'll be facing having been newly awakened. A lot of people ask about jobs as well. You are not in any way required to work. Typically what we find is that people, when they don't have to worry about money, they find their true vocation. So they'll usually become something that is community related, or perhaps become a writer or an artist or a poet or a dancer. The world's your oyster, really. You can make your own mind up and not have that pressure of having to earn money and things like that. Okay? Good. Yes, we will be actually housing you on a kibbutz for now, which is a communal space. Basically everyone chips in just to keep the place running smoothly. Everyone has a go at cooking and things like that. And it's a great way for people who've newly awakened to basically integrate themselves or assimilate into a society that from the offset can seem a little bit alien. So just to check, how's your cranioplan delta kicking in? All good? You can move your eyes to say yes or no. Okay. Just going to run a few more rudimentary tests. this will help to acclimate you to the weather. It does get very hot nowadays. I'm just going to install a port so that you can store data externally. Okay, on the other side. Just going to make a few calibration adjustments. And I'll just quickly examine you, make sure that everything's okay. It's very warm in here. Excellent. How do you feel? Now, I will leave you alone for a moment, and any time now, you will regain the use of your vocal cords and you will be able to move freely of your own will. I'll be back momentarily, and then we'll take it from there. Okay? All right.